All right, for problem number 25, it says the equation above expresses the approximate height in meters of a ball t seconds after it is launched vertically upward from the ground with an initial velocity of 25 meters per second. After approximately how many seconds will the ball hit the ground? Well, how do you know that? You're just guessing? Well, we could do the math. So what's the height going to be when it hits the ground? That's the first place we start. What do you think the height will be when we hit the ground? No. Well, so here's the thing, you have to make some assumptions, right? It's either going to be 0. 4.9 is the acceleration due to gravity. It's not 4.9. You have to assume that it's going to be 0, which is weird because that means the ball would have to be launched from the ground. So we don't know how it's being launched. It doesn't give us that information. So what we're interested in, and by the way, it's when it hits the ground. So when it hits the ground, how far is it off the ground? 0. So I guess we don't even really need to know how high it is when it's launched, because anyways, it doesn't matter. So what we're solving for is t. In other words, I'm saying h is 0, so I would say 0 minus 4.9 t squared plus 25t. And I have to solve that. Well, there's a couple ways you could do that. One is just to factor out one of the t's. So if I factor out t and set it equal to 0, then I get negative 4.9 t plus 25. And then what you could do is set them both equal to 0. It makes sense that at 0 seconds, the ball's on the ground. But also, so in other words, this has to equal 0 and this has to equal 0. So you take both factors and set them equal to 0. So you would say 4.95 times t plus 25 equals 0. That's one factor. And then the other factor is t. And then you just solve. So I'm going to subtract 25 from both sides. And you get negative 4.9t is equal to negative 25. Okay? Divide both sides by negative 4.9. These will cancel, and I'll get t is equal to whatever that is. Yeah, so let's see. I'm going to say 25. It'd be a little bit over 5. I think it'd be like close to 5.1. So we're going to say 25 divided by 4.9. Remember that the negatives will cancel. So that'd be about 5.1. 5.1 something. So about what time would it be? How many seconds would it be? Well, the closest one would be 5. Does that make sense? All right.